Got Andrew Hattersley on the line from Gig'em 247 to break down the Texas A&M offense for us. And I guess it all starts and stops with Isaiah Spiller. Of course, he's going to carry the load out of the backfield, and all you have to do is pull up any kind of top 10, top 25 list of running backs in the nation, and he's going to be up near that top of the list. I had him in the top 3 or 4 in the nation myself, and coming off 1,000 yards despite this the shortened season with 9 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, the offense is going to start and stop with him this year. I think they're going to rely on him heavily again. He's got great vision. He's got great body control. And, with a young quarterback, I think he provides an incredible security blanket. He's great pass protector as well, and just is a really, really solid guy to have in the backfield. And I think the good news for him this year is he's going to have help too with Devon Achane, who kind of came on the second half of last year. And if there was a concern with Isaiah Spiller, it was just keeping him healthy, because they had to rely on him so much that towards the end of the year he had kind of an ankle injury. He played on a really bad toe for the last part of the year, and still incredible what he was able to do playing on a bad toe. But this year, Devon Achane should be there as kind of that second option, and he's really explosive as well. I mean, he's got a chance to be a breakout guy this year and really put himself on the map as well. He did in the Orange Bowl. And then you've still got Aniyah Smith there. You've still got LJ Johnson, who's coming in as a freshman, who might be able to contribute. And then you've got, you've got Ernest Crownover, and you've got Darvin Hubbard, and you've got DeAndre Jackson, who are, that kind of gives you 6-7 running backs who you can reliably depend upon.
Yeah, as Shane only had 43 carries last year, but as you mentioned, home run hitting ability, 8.5 yards per carry. He scored 5 touchdowns with limited touches, just 48 touches between pass receiving and carries out of the backfield. Aniyah Smith is an interesting guy that they like to do different things with. So he's like split running back, split wide receiver.
Put him at fullback a little bit too last year. And so, I mean, they really did a little bit of everything with him. And, I think if they can, I know we're going to get to the receiver position in a little bit, but if you can kind of solidify that group with Achane and Isaiah Spiller, that gives you a little bit of freedom to maybe move I know Smith around at the receiver spot. But I still think you'll see him in the backfield, because he's just such a weapon to have coming out of the backfield. And the more ways you can get the ball in his hand, the better. And he's got a home run hitting ability of his own. And, I don't think it'll be a lot of plays, but I think you could see him and Isaiah Spiller in the backfield together last year was such like a powerful combination. And even if, they've tried to, I asked Jimbo Fisher about putting Achane, Spiller and Smith in the backfield together. And, he kind of joked and said he may use it in the future, but that would be an interesting combo as well. But, even if you put Smith and Achane together and you give Spiller a break, really there's a lot of ways that you can use him.
You could probably win a bet with somebody asking them who led the team in touchdowns, because it wasn't Isaiah Spiller. It was actually Smith with 10 between rushing and receiving. There's a guy here, as we move to the receivers, Andrew, that every time I watch Texas A&M, which is about half the games, seems to be making plays. I would expect his numbers to be bigger than 29 catches last year and 2 touchdowns, but it seems like Chase Lane, when I'm watching, is always making plays. You got Hezekiah Jones, of course, with 18 catches. Not a ton of experience coming back at wide receiver.
Yeah, I agree with you a little bit on Chase Lane. I think he wasn't necessarily like a home run hitting threat, but he seemed to be that guy on third downs and whenever they needed a key down, it was kind of Chase Lane that came up with the big play. And I'm really interested to see what happens with the receiving group this year, because just looking at basically this time last year, the receiver room was kind of had to adjust on the fly, because I think they went into the year thinking that Jamon Osborne was going to be able to contribute, and he ended up opting out for the year. And you lost Cam Brown, you lost some other guys, and so I think guys like Chase Lane were asked to step up, and didn't necessarily have the experience in that room that now you have this year. Everybody, for the most part, is back for another year. And I think Chase Lane is a guy that could kind of build on last year a little bit. And you're right though. He did every time he seemed to make a big play after big play, and having Hezekiah Jones back the second half of the year is kind of that veteran presence and guy that could also move the chains. That's what they're looking for, and that's really what Jimbo Fisher's looking for in terms of reliability and guys that are going to be in the right spot at the right time and contribute in the running game.
And when you need 3, 4, and even 5 guys deep at wide receiver, because of obviously typically playing 3 guys and then going to 4 and 5 wide receiver sets, and needing that many players to step up.
Caleb Chapman was a guy that caught a 50-yard touchdown against Florida. And I think he was really in for a big year before he tore his ACL. That was really a shame. That seemed to be a breakout game for him. And, getting him back healthy, when you talk about giving a boost to that wide receiver room, I think he would be a huge guy to have to go along with Hezekiah Jones and Chase Lane. And I think everything sounds good in terms of his recovery and being ready to go this year. And then you look at a guy, the guy I think A&M fans are clamoring to get on the field is Damon Demas. And he looks really strong, really, he looks like he's made some strides in the weight room. And I think there's a lot of anticipation that he's now going to be ready to contribute. You got Jalen Preston too. So I still think that receiver room's in a good spot.
And of course, you got a tight end who's going to produce like a wide receiver in terms of numbers, who's probably the best guy in the country. There's an argument there, but certainly with Kyle Pitts moving on, he's right near the top of the list as being that kind of a talent. And of course, he was out for the spring, but everything should be good coming off 46 catches last year. Of course, talking about Jalen Weidemeyer, I should mention his name for people that don't follow Texas A&M football, but he's a beast.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. And, they did keep him out of the spring game. I think he had a slight cut on his hand that required a little bit of surgery. And so, in terms of list of concerns for A&M during the spring, Jalen Weidemeyer certainly was not on there. So they're really, really excited about what he might be able to bring this year. I think, he's going to be one of the top players in the country at that position. And, I spoke with somebody about that just a couple of weeks ago. Actually, when you look at A&M was one of the best teams in the country on third down last year, and a big reason for that was Jalen Weidemeyer because of just what he's able to do. He provides a big target on third down, and he made some really tough catches and contested catches. And that's just a guy when you're kind of in a pinch, you're in that 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. He's just such a weapon to have out on the field because of his size and athleticism and ability to run different routes. And, they can kind of get him the ball in different ways, whether it's short little dump offs or, routes over the middle. And, he's gotten better as a run blocker too. I think that went a little bit under the radar last year, but he is, between him and Isaiah Spiller, those are probably your 2 guys you're looking at as the biggest keys to the A&M offense this year outside of the quarterback position.
Folks, we are tearing it up when it comes to roster previews across the nation, schedule previews, everything we do with call-in shows and live streams featuring all sorts of teams across the country. So please give us a like, share the videos out on social media, because if you're here enjoying the content, others will as well. So share it with your other Texas A&M friends, and also just college football folks in general. We got Andrew Hattersley on the line breaking down the Texas A&M offense. You see he's from Gig'em 247 Sports, joins us on a regular basis. So join him on Gig'em 247 and everything he's got available right there. Andrew, we appreciate you stopping by.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.